By the end of 2028, the traditional search bar might just be totally dead.
Completely obsolete, yeah.
Right. I mean, you won't search for products anymore.
Yeah.
And artificial intelligence will quietly, interrogate the internet, evaluate all the trade-offs, and basically decide what you're allowed to buy before you even see a screen.
It's a wild concept.
It really is. So welcome to the deep dive. Today's session is custom tailored for you, the learner who needs to see around the corners of how the business world actually operates right now.
And things are moving fast.
Very fast. We are analyzing a comprehensive industry briefing on, agentic commerce and the massive shift happening in consumer packaged goods or CPG marketing strategies. Our mission today is to understand how AI is stepping in as the ultimate kind of ruthless gatekeeper of consumer choice.
And it really is a complete inversion of the traditional retail model. I mean, for decades, the entire industry has been built around what McKinsey calls execution.
Right, like physically moving things.
Yes, exactly. Getting a product onto a physical shelf or getting it to rank high on a digital search page, and then just letting the human shopper sort through the noise. But what we are examining today is the pivot to decision influence.
Decision influence.
Yeah, the human is no longer doing the sorting. Agentic AI tools are actively narrowing down options, discarding brands completely, and presenting a hyper-curated shortlist.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the central premise of this briefing, it completely changes the battleground. I mean, brands have spent billions fighting for the checkout cart.
Oh, absolutely. Billions.
But now they aren't even fighting for shelf space. They are fighting to simply be perceived by an AI, like to even just get on the short list.
And to understand the velocity of this shift, we really need to look at the timeline, because this is not some theoretical white paper for the distant future.
No, it's happening right now.
Exactly.
Yep.
Today is March 29, 2026. And according to the Boston Consulting Group data in our briefing, AI-driven search and referral is jumping to 25% of all organic visits by the end of this year.
Wait, 25% by the end of 2026?
Yes. 1 in 4 organic interactions is already being mediated by AI, but the truly disruptive metric, the one that should keep brands awake, is their projection for 2028.
Which is just 2 years away.
Right. BCG expects AI-driven search to surpass traditional organic search entirely by 2028.
Wow.
That is the cliff edge the industry is looking at right now. Decision influence is already here.
That is just a fundamental rewiring of consumer behavior. I mean, we usually think about shopping like walking into a massive superstore.
Yeah, totally open aisles.
Right. You have total freedom. You can be swayed by bright packaging, a clever end cap display, or just, the vibe of a lifestyle brand.
The impulse buys.
Exactly. But delegated discovery, this whole agentic commerce model, it operates more like an ultra-strict VIP bouncer at the door of an exclusive club.
That's a great way to look at it.
Right. If the AI bouncer filters out your brand because your data is messy, the shopper never even knows you exist.
Yeah.
There are no abandoned shopping carts because the customer never even made it to your product page to begin with.
Well, what's fascinating here is the psychological shift. Brand trust used to be built by massive advertising budgets and just pure shelf presence. Now, there is a totally new mediator in the middle.
A mediator that doesn't care about your cool TV commercials?
Not at all. And think about the economic ripple effect of that bouncer analogy. For years, brands have just accepted skyrocketing customer acquisition costs.
Oh yeah, CAC has been out of control.
Totally. And diminishing return on ad spend, all just to force their way to the top of a digital shelf. They essentially paid for visibility.
Brute force marketing.
Right. But in agentic commerce, you cannot simply buy your way past that AI filter if your underlying data is flawed. The AI is a completely new entity sitting between the brand's marketing budget and the shopper's wallet.
Which means we really need to look at how these AI mediators are actually functioning in the real world right now. Because I have to imagine the early iterations of this tech have been, a bit of a train wreck.
Oh, they definitely had some rough starts.
Yeah, giving an AI access to a credit card and a complex grocery list doesn't exactly sound like a frictionless experience on day one.
You're not wrong. There has certainly been high-profile stumbles, and the briefing highlights one that is actually incredibly instructive. It was an early chatbot checkout experiment between Walmart and OpenAI.
Okay, what happened there?
It underperformed massively. The architecture of the AI essentially forced the shopper into a very linear single-item purchase path.
Like, buy one thing, check out, buy another thing, check out.
Exactly. It could process one command for one product perfectly, but it completely fell apart when faced with the actual complexity of a full shopping trip.
Well, let me push back on the idea that AI can ever really replicate that experience anyway.
Mm.
Because shopping, especially for groceries, is inherently human, it's
Yeah,
relational and kind of messy,
it's very complex. Yeah.
right? Like if I'm building a basket for the week, I'm thinking about meals. I'm not just buying pasta in a vacuum. I need the pasta. But if my favorite penne is out of stock, I'll grab fusilli. But grabbing fusilli might mean I need a thicker sauce, which changes the kind of cheese I'm going to buy to go with it. An AI that just processes a single item sounds entirely useless to a real shopper trying to make dinner. How can a machine possibly anticipate that kind of cascading human logic?
You are touching on the exact vulnerability of those early models. They failed because they treated shopping as a static database query.
Find item, retrieve item.
Yes, rather than a dynamic relational basket building exercise. But that specific failure provided the blueprint for the current wave of agentic commerce. The successful platforms are no longer focusing on single item retrieval.
They're adapting to the messiness.
Exactly. They are engineering their systems for bundling, for dynamic substitutions, and complex post-purchase support.
So who is actually building systems that handle that relational messiness well?
Well, the evolution is global, and it's moving at breakneck speed. Take Google's partnership with Gap, for example.
Okay.
They aren't just using Gemini to chat casually about clothes. They are utilizing Google's Universal Commerce Protocol, or UCP.
And what does that do?
This protocol maps the conversational intent directly to Gap's live inventory and connects it seamlessly to Google Pay. So the AI isn't just recommending a sweater, it's actually executing the transaction right there within the chat interface.
Wow, so no clicking away to a different site.
Right. And in Asia, Rakuten has deployed an AI concierge on Rakuten Ichiba. It transforms static product discovery into this highly interactive conversational matching experience.
That's clothes and general retail, though. What about the grocery sector? Because bridging that gap between a digital chat and the physical supply chain of perishable food seems like the ultimate stress test for this tech.
It is absolutely the stress test, and major players are aggressively testing it. Albertsons is rolling out agentic tools designed specifically to untangle that complexity of online grocery shopping.
Like predicting those cascading substitutions I mentioned.
Yes, exactly that. Predicting that if you change the pasta, you probably want a different sauce. Meanwhile, Ocado is deploying AI chatbots to manage the highly complex edge cases of grocery delivery.
What kind of edge case?
Things like handling allergen cross-contamination queries in real time, or processing dynamic substitutions on the fly if a truck is late, and managing complex returns without requiring a human customer service rep to step in.
That really changes your perspective.
Yeah.
When you realize that every time you ask a digital assistant to filter a menu for gluten-free options, or, ask it to substitute oat milk, you are basically training this AI gatekeeper.
You're teaching it how to think like a human shopper.
Which brings us to the most critical question for anyone running a business right now. If this tech is inevitable, and it's already mastering our messy grocery baskets, how does a brand actually get recommended? I mean, how do you survive the bouncer?
That is the multi-million-dollar question. How do you earn the AI shortlist?
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because earning this shortlist sounds superficially like old-school search engine optimization, right? Like SEO. But the mechanics are entirely different.
Radically different.
Yeah. With traditional SEO, a brand could game the algorithm with keyword stuffing, or they could just rely on a flashy influencer campaign to drive brute force traffic.
Build enough hype and the algorithm rewards you.
Right. It's like writing a resume for a human who might be impressed by a cool font. But an AI agent doesn't care about the influencer's vibe. It cares about structured, verifiable reasons.
The briefing states it perfectly, actually. It says shortlists are built on reasons, not vibes.
Reasons, not vibes. I love that.
It's the core rule now. A hyper-logical AI assistant requires data points that it can confidently compute. And it needs to present reasons that the human shopper will instantly believe.
So how does a brand do that?
The source material outlines a strict 90-day blueprint. It identifies 3 core capabilities that brands simply must build immediately if they want to survive the filter.
Okay, let's go through them.
And crucially, mastering these 3 capabilities is actually how a brand protects its profit margins in an agentic world.
Wait, walk me through that economic logic first. How does an AI gatekeeper protect a brand's margin? I would think a ruthless, logical AI would just always pick the absolute cheapest option, triggering this massive race to the bottom on price.
It's a very common misconception, but the opposite is actually true. Compressed choice reduces the need for constant discounting.
Really? How so?
Think about a traditional digital shelf. You are competing against 50 other products on the exact same page. To grab the human eye, you have to slap a bright red 20% off banner on your listing.
Right, you have to scream the loudest.
Yes. You are bleeding margin just to win a second of attention. But if the AI has evaluated the entire market behind the scenes and presents the shopper with exactly 3 perfectly matched, highly relevant options.
The competition for attention is basically over.
Exactly. You don't need the discount banner because you're already in the VIP room. But to get past the bouncer and into that room, you need the first core capability, consistent product truth.
Okay, define consistent product truth in this specific context.
It means totally eradicating contradictions across every single digital touchpoint. The AI is constantly scraping your direct-to-consumer website, your retail partner listings like Walmart or Target, and third-party marketplaces.
Okay, everywhere your product exists online.
Right. So if your own website describes your lotion as suitable for sensitive skin, but your Amazon listing says it's dermatologically tested, a human shopper probably wouldn't even notice the difference.
Yeah, that sounds like the same thing to me.
But the AI agent registers that semantic drift as a data conflict.
Let me challenge the feasibility of that, though. If I'm managing a legacy CPG brand with, I don't know, thousands of SKUs, I might have tight control over my own website.
Sure.
But I have absolutely zero control over what some unauthorized third-party reseller puts in their weird Amazon description. How can a mid-level manager possibly police the entire internet to ensure consistent product truth?
That is the brutal reality of this new ecosystem. You can't control the unauthorized seller, but the AI doesn't care about your internal supply chain issues.
It just sees the conflict.
Exactly. When the AI aggregates those conflicting data points, it calculates a low confidence score for your product. To the AI, uncertainty equals risk.
And it won't recommend risk.
Never. An AI assistant programmed to optimize a basket will not stick its neck out for a risky product. It simply drops the CU from consideration entirely. The shopper never sees the conflict. They just experience a frictionless recommendation for your competitor.
Ouch. That is punishing.
It is. Which leads directly to the second capability, retrievable proof.
Okay, so if consistency gets you in the door, proof keeps you in the room. What does the AI actually consider proof?
It requires structured, credible evidence that the agent can instantly ingest and cite. We are seeing a global shift toward European-style regulatory strictness regarding product claims, but combined with deep consumer skepticism.
People don't believe marketing copy anymore.
Right. So the AI needs to verify your claims programmatically. If you claim a product is clinically proven, the AI needs to be able to hit your back-end database, scrape the structured data of that actual clinical trial, and verify the methodology.
Wait, really? It goes that deep?
Yes. If the proof isn't easily retrievable in a machine-readable format, the AI defaults to a more transparent competitor.
It is literally conducting a background check on your marketing copy in milliseconds. That's incredible. Okay, so we have consistent product truth and retrievable proof. What is the third capability you need to win the shortlist?
A clear decision structure. You have to engineer your product data so that the AI can easily explain the trade-offs to the human.
Give me an example of that.
Well, a budget-conscious shopper relies on the AI to weigh options. Your brand must explicitly map its value proposition into the architecture of the data itself.
So it's not just a catchy description.
Right. You aren't just selling premium pasta sauce. You need to structure the metadata so the AI recognizes it as, say, the optimal choice for weeknight speed when preparation time is the primary constraint.
Oh, I see. And it's backed by verifiable cooking times.
Exactly. Because if the AI is going to make the final recommendation, it needs to be able to justify its choice to the user.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the AI agent is effectively a new demographic entirely.
It really is.
It is a completely rational, proof-seeking, consistency-demanding consumer that processes information at massive scale.
That is the exact way to look at it.
But just listening to the sheer mechanical scale of this, like auditing global product data to eliminate semantic drift, structuring retrievable proof packs, mapping decision trade-offs into metadata. I mean, this isn't just a marketing campaign.
Not even close.
You can't just hire an ad agency to write a snappy new slogan and be done with it. And you can't just throw it over the fence to the IT department to fix the code. This requires tearing down the entire operational structure of a company.
It absolutely does, which is why the briefing positions this shift as the ultimate golden ticket for mid-level manager.
A golden ticket. How so?
We are talking about brand managers, e-commerce directors, shopper innovation leaders. The Gartner projections show that by 2028, 60% of brands will be utilizing agentic AI for one-to-one customer interactions.
60%. That is the dominant majority of the entire market in roughly 2 years.
Right. And currently, inside most of these legacy brands, this data is a total cross-functional nightmare.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Legal owns the compliance data, marketing owns the emotional lifestyle copy, and e-commerce owns the SEO keywords. They operate in complete silos.
And they probably don't even talk to each other.
Rarely. So the manager who steps up, breaks those silos, and solves this data alignment problem, they become the most indispensable person in the organization.
So how do they actually do it?
To help them, the briefing provides two specific operational frameworks, CatSight and QC2.
Okay, let's get into the mechanics of these frameworks. How does a manager actually use CatSight in a practical way?
Well, CatSight is designed to clarify boundaries and decode the true aim of the shopper. When humans use AI assistants, their core aim is actually frequently negative.
Negative? What do you mean?
They aren't going to the AI saying, I want to experience the joy of purchasing a household cleaner.
Right, nobody says that.
They are saying, I want to avoid wasting money, or I want to avoid the regret of buying the wrong thing. CatSight forces a brand to stop using polished, generic marketing jargon and start capturing the unvarnished, exhausted language real humans use.
Let me try to apply that to see if I get it. Let's say I'm selling a premium face wash.
Okay.
My marketing team probably wants the AI to know it's a, I don't know, revitalizing botanical cleansing experience.
Very typical marketing copy.
Right. But if I'm a tired consumer who just worked a 12-hour shift, I'm not typing revitalizing botanical experience into a prompt. I'm telling my AI, find me a face wash that won't make me break out because my skin is terrible when I'm stressed.
That is exactly the disconnect. If your back-end data is only optimized for botanical cleansing experience, the AI has no mathematical bridge to connect your product to a user prompt about stress breakouts.
It just doesn't compute.
Right. CatSight is the methodology for mapping that raw, tired human language directly into your product architecture. When the AI mathematically understands that your product is the verifiable solution to the shopper's negative aim like avoiding a breakout, it ranks you first.
That makes perfect sense. It's essentially translating human exhaustion into machine-readable logic.
Beautifully put.
Thanks. So what about the second framework, QC2? How is that executed internally?
QC2 is the internal operational lever. It stands for forcing alignment across company, consumer, brand, and process choices.
That's a lot to align.
It is. It's basically the framework a manager uses to run the meeting that stops the internal civil war.
The silo war.
Right. Think about a typical product launch right now. The legal department demands vague, low-liability language. Marketing wants hyperbolic, highly emotional claims, and e-commerce just wants whatever random keyword happens to be trending on Google that week.
And usually all three of those variations end up published somewhere on the internet.
Yes. And as we established earlier, the AI sees those three distinct variations, calculates a high risk of inconsistency, and drops the product from the shortlist.
Boom, you're out.
Exactly. QC2 is the mechanism to force a single source of truth matrix. It requires legal, marketing, and IT to sit down and agree on one unified data structure that serves the AI's need for consistency while still appealing to the human's ultimate aim.
So it's a mandatory checkpoint.
Absolutely. If the QC2 matrix isn't perfectly aligned before launch, the product just doesn't ship.
So what does this all mean? When you step back and really look at CatSight and QC2, agentic commerce is acting as an absolutely ruthless forcing function for these companies.
It leaves nowhere to hide.
Exactly. You cannot fake your way past an AI assistant with a disjointed corporate strategy. If your legal risk mitigation directly contradicts your e-commerce growth hacking, the AI bouncer spots the discrepancy in the code and quietly removes you from the market.
It holds a giant mirror up to a brand's internal dysfunction.
Yeah, it really does.
But the inverse is also true. It is a massive, disproportionate reward for the brands that actually do the hard, unglamorous work of data alignment. Once you achieve that consistent product truth and you have retrievable proof, you completely bypass the noise.
Zip the line.
You bypass the digital clutter. You bypass the margin-killing discount wars. You simply become the default answer.
Let's synthesize the journey we've taken today. We are standing on the precipice of a massive behavioral shift. It's accelerating rapidly right now in 2026, heading toward that tipping point in 2028.
It's right around the corner.
We are moving from a paradigm where brands win by shouting the loudest at the checkout cart to a reality where they only survive by earning the AI shortlist.
And earning it the hard way.
Right, earning it through ruthless internal consistency, machine-readable proof, and highly structured logic. So whether you are navigating this as a professional trying to align your company's messy data, or simply as a consumer recognizing how your own digital assistants are beginning to curate your reality, agentic commerce is fundamentally rewriting the architecture of choice.
Yet, within all of this hyper-rational, algorithmically filtered commerce, the briefing leaves us with a really critical reminder of the ultimate human truth.
Which is what?
The AI might do all the heavy lifting of curating the shortlist. It might act as the uncompromising gatekeeper, but it is still the human who physically consumes the product.
We are still the ones eating the pasta.
Exactly. Humans still judge the tactile experience, we still feel the emotional resonance of a brand, and we still talk to each other about what we like. The messy, beautiful tension of human desire remains the underlying engine of all preference.
That's reassuring, actually.
The AI is simply the new, highly efficient interface, but it's not the end user.
The AI is the interface, not the end user.
That.
But, that reality leaves me with a final thought, something for you to mull over as you close out your day.
Yeah.
We've spent all this time exploring how these AI agents operate as ultra-strict, hyper-logical bouncers, optimizing our baskets for maximum efficiency, stated aims, and verifiable proof. But if our digital lives become perfectly rational, what happens to the joy of the happy accident?
Oh, that's a great point.
Right. Do we permanently lose those wonderfully weird, totally illogical impulse buys, like the hot sauce you threw on the cart just because the mascot looked funny, or some bizarre snack you tried solely because it caught your eye on the bottom shelf while you were wandering the aisles?
An AI would never recommend the funny mascot.
Never. An AI assistant would instantly filter those out as inefficient and off-aim. So if the sisters that curate our world only allow in what makes perfect mathematical sense, do we lose the uniquely human magic of unexpected discovery? Keep questioning the systems that are quietly curating your world.